Welcome, my name is Colleen Tauke and I'm the sewing specialist here at Fons & Porter. In this Sew Easy tutorial, I'm going to show you how to do set-in seams. We've got a block here on the sewing center that matches the quilt behind me. And when you make these 8-point stars, you create areas that are hard to get at, and we have to put in sections called set-in seams. So this is how we approach this block. At first it seems a little bit daunting, but then when you realize what you're doing, it's not really that bad. Okay, in this type of a block, you're creating these diamond shapes. And you're putting two large diamonds together. Then you're joining into halves. And so you have half of the block, almost, but not quite. We've got spaces here and here, and a triangle at the top. So what we need to do is set in this. And we're used to sewing from beginning to end, but if we go in here, we're going to be kind of down the alley. And so there's a technique for us to make those short seams really smooth. And then the last thing is that we'll need the corners also will need to be filled in. Again, getting in and out of these spaces, it's not a pivot, but a break and a realignment. So let's see how we do those. Let's start with the triangle one first. I'm going to turn this sideways. Okay, right sides together is the position we always sew in. So we're putting right sides together. When I sewed these diamonds together, I didn't go all the way to the end. I stopped 1/4 inch short of going through that seam. So that leaves me a little space there to wiggle, turn that back. I can align my cut edges. The outside tips should match up, one over the top of the other. Now remember, there's bias edges here, so you don't want to pull or twist or distort that edge. Just lay one on top of the other. And I'm actually going to put my pins to the back side, and I'll show you in a minute why. If I go to the back side, you're going to see if I drive from the point, I can go right to the stopping point where the other seam was at. So I'm going to take this to the sewing machine. Gently, don't stretch again. In the transportation, we don't want to have a distortion of our diamond. Set my 1/4 inch seam. And again, don't push or pull on that tip because you've got that bias edge along there. Let it go into the machine. As I near my pin, take that out. And then just continue stitching, and we're coming into that alley. So as I get into that space, let me here speed up just a little bit. As I approach that, I can see where my last seam stopped. I need to pull my pin out so I don't damage it. And I'm going to drive right up to one more stitch. Even if you have to turn the hand wheel by hand, literally, it'll get right to that spot. I'm going to tie off my thread, cut, and remove it from the sewing machine. And now, cut away my threads here. You can maybe pick that up that I've gotten a nice 1/4 inch seam in, and I stopped right there. Now what I need to do is reposition, just roll it over. I need to get this edge to match up with this one. So basically it's just like a turntable. We're just going to turn this, rotate it. And notice I'm not pulling on it too much, just kind of gently rotating it. Again, the outer corners are going to match up, one over the top of the other. Perfectly. Put a pin there. And on the back side, I need to get that seam to lay down. So I'm just kind of scratching along, getting those fibers or the pieces aligned. Again, I'm going to put a pin in there near where I'm going to be stopping so that I know as I drive into there, I know my stopping point. And by doing that, then I can get a nice even seam. I'm driving into the corner. I know where to stop because I have an actual visual cue. So as I drive into it, get my presser foot. I got it pushed away a little too far. There we go. I think we always have that. Our presser foot wants to kind of walk away from us under the sewing machine. One more stitch. right to there, tie it off, cut thread, press her foot up, and you can see I drove right into that intersection. Now when I open it out, let's go from the back side. You want to look at your seam allowances. Everything's going to want to go toward that triangle because of these seam allowances here. So you're going to be pressing toward the center, but let's do it gently from the top. Just nudging it with our fingernail, kind of finger pressing it very gently until it lays down. You'll have to maneuver that point to get that to lay flat, but it can be done. There we go. Kind of do like a napkin folding at that intersection, and you get that set inseam. Okay, just so we'll walk this one through. We won't do another stitching because it's the same kind of process, but I want you to see how easy that is. Remember, right sides together. So right sides together. We've left that 1/4 inch seam, a little tiny opening there. You're going to match it up. This time you're going to have little triangles, and they should be about a perfect equilateral triangle there. You're going to pin, and stitch from the outside in. And if you're stitching from the other side, there's your visual cue where to stop. And you're going to do the same kind of rotation. You're going to pull this around, and it'll lay down perfectly. Let's look at the back of the finished block. And you can see, if you take the time to press as you go, you can get those intersections to lay down nicely and have a nice flat seam and perfect set-in seams every time. Thanks for joining me today. If you'd like to see more of our Sew Easy tutorials, please visit our website.